Hello again, fellow YouTubers. Solomon Pleasant from Team O.M.G Vanguard, back with another Card Fight Vanguard clan review thing. And today we have Tachikaze, or the Poor Man's Shadow Paladins. Why? I'll just get into that in a second. So, Tachikaze. Alright. Tachikaze. What do these guys focus on? When I say it, it's pretty much going to be a lot like Shadow Paladins. What these guys focus on is killing their own in order to obtain power, but that's kind of where it ends. The main difference between Tachi and Shadow Paladin is when Shadow Paladin kills their rearguards, it's for effects. When Tachi kills their rearguards, it's usually for power and crit. Tachi is a very, very, very aggro deck. They really focus on charging up and firing big cannons. Like how I said when Genesis puts all their soul into one giant blast, Tachi likes to do that except with their rearguards and then do it more. Because of this, Tachi has become a deck where you have to be a much more skilled player in order to use it, depending on what the deck is, and you really need to get the right cards. Like, you don't just pile together a Tachi deck. You really have to know what you're building in order to build it. And even then, you need to know what cards are good in a Tachi deck. So, starting off with, like, Season 1, and yeah, there are some people who've used Tachi, but honestly, you don't really remember their names or care about them in any way. They don't contribute to the plot, so we're good. Season 1 Tachis. Season 1 Tachis pretty much were like Season 1 Shadows. Kill stuff and get power off it. That's really the objective. And actually, there were some Tachi units. The big leader of Tachi in Season 1 was actually Deathrex. And he actually said, I just get power, and if I hit, you kill something. So in that regard, Deathrex was actually a very good unit in Season 1 because he was able to get consistent power, and oftentimes you didn't even need to pay a cost for that +5 power. Granted, it was 10k, but then again, 11ks weren't really a thing back then. Moving into Season 2, we kind of have the Raptor ride chain as being really the only Tachi support we get. And it was good for its time. And something you'll notice for a lot of Tachi units. They're good for their time period. Season 1 cannot migrate into where it is now. Season 2 cannot migrate to where it is now. Season 3, and that Season 3 is just still kind of there. Ancient Dragons are still the current archetype, but we'll get to them in a second. The Raptor deck basically focuses on this. Kill specific units to get a ton of power, and then have your Vanguard hit for a lot of power. The Raptor deck does not focus on crit, it really focuses on power. And that didn't make it the best of decks, but it made it a very threatening deck. And a lot of people really don't acknowledge it as a good deck, and I've had my things with the Raptor deck, and we've had our ups and downs, but after giving it some Ancient Dragons as steroids, it becomes better. And while we're talking about that, let's just get into Season 3 and beyond, which is mainly Ancient Dragons, because Tachi gets nothing else but Ancient Dragons now. Ancient Dragons are the only things of Tachi at the moment. The Ancient Dragon archetype pretty much just takes the Tachi method and pushes it to the position where, okay, you can just do that again. Please. I want to kind of read stuff. Please. Okay. So, Ancient Dragons basically takes Season 1 Tachi and pushes it to make it better. And that's really it. They still retire their rearguards, but some of the Ancient Dragons actually like coming back, and I'll mention them in a little bit, but one thing about Tachi that some clans still do, and Tachi's a good example, they have been consistent, again, throughout their entire run. It's still killing others to get power. Again, a lot like Shadow Paladins. Of course, the one thing Tachi also has over the advantage of Shadow Paladins is Shadows can't really get their units back. Tachis do have a couple ways of getting their units back. They have a way of resurrecting their units, per se. So it's pretty much Grand Blue and Shadow Paladin had a child. Shadow Knights plus Ghost Pirates equals Robot Dinosaurs. I like that math works. And again, there really isn't much to say about Ancient Dragons because, yeah, they do what they do. They do what Tachis do. When I talk about Tachis, they're the main way you run Tachis is big surprise, you run them with crit. And you also do want to throw some draw in. Like, it's mandatory to run... Most Tachi decks run like every Spike Brother deck, which is 8 crit and 4 draw. You can mess with the draw a little bit, but for the most part, you do want some draw in most of your Tachi decks. You can run 8 crit, which everyone seems to do, because I guess nobody else wants to think of another way, because I guess 8 crit is pretty good, which I can't argue, but you do want to run some draw in your Tachi deck. And now I'm going to talk about a crit trigger that isn't an Ancient Dragon, but is still a very interesting card. And I'm not sure if other clans have this, I'd have to look, but Black Cannon Tiger is a very interesting unit to say the least. What he does is, when an attack hits a Vanguard during the battle this unit is boosted, you may soul charge 1. If you do, return this card to your deck and shuffle your deck. So, oh, you drove check a crit. That's nice. Oh, you don't have anything to call out? Hey, call out this. Oh, you have a ride chain? Hey, you might get the part that you actually need in there, which is very rare and like a 1 in 15 chance, but hey, it can work. And hey, you get your trigger back. So it's a nice way to mill triggers other than just using Legion. So it's a very nice way to mill triggers and kind of build up a soul, which Tachi kind of wants to do sometimes, not really. Like, they have units that say soul charge, but there really aren't any good units that Tachi requires soul blasting for. So it's very confusing why they have them, but Black Cannon Tiger is a pretty good unit all the less. Now, a grade 1 that should be mentioned, and I'll also mention this skill again in a grade 2 unit, is Ancient Dragon Iguanogorg. This is a really, really good unit. Counterblast 1, when this unit is put in the drop zone, if you have an Ancient Dragon, if you have a Vanguard with Ancient Dragon in his name, you pay the cost. If you do, call to rear guard. So, hey, use Spino Driver. I have to kill 2 units. Oh hey, Counterblast 2. Guess what? My field's back. Iguanogorg is a very nice unit for keeping your field consistent with Ancient Dragon style, which, honestly, nobody runs anything else because Ancient Dragons are really the only thing people run nowadays for Tachi. Because Tachi really hasn't gotten much. They get Ancient Dragons and that is it. And sadly, there really aren't any grade 2s that are different in skill and are good enough, so I'm just going to talk about the grade 2, which pretty much does the exact same thing as Iguanogorg, but it's a grade 2, which is Ancient Dragon Tyranno Bite. When it comes up, there is. And I believe it's basically Iguanogorg, except it's 9k. Because really, Tachi doesn't really have that many other rear guards that are good. That is a pretty good unit nonetheless, but there really aren't any other units to talk about in the grade 2 department at the very least, or the grade 1 department. And yeah, because again, Tachi really doesn't have that much going for it. It has those 2 units, it has that Grand Blue-esque feature that makes Tachikaze very dangerous, but at the same time, there really isn't much else there to discuss. And now moving on to grade 3s. 2 grade 3s I really want to bring up. First one's a very interesting grade 3 that some people still kind of hint at using, but it's a very unknown unit to a lot of people. And that would be Destruction Dragon Dark Rex. What does this unit do? Well, it says, Limit Break 4, choose 3 of your Tachikaze rearguards and retire them. At the beginning of the close step of that battle, and you have a grade 3 or a greater Vanguard that attacked, if the attack did not hit during the battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, ride this card, and it has the hand ability to bind it and give +3 to, and give a Tachi unit +3. So, it's a very interesting card that some people still use. Like, a lot of people like to break ride, and then after the break ride, they break ride on top of the break ride, and then after that they ride this in order to get some more power off. So it's a very, very interesting unit. Not that many people use it anymore because it's only a 10k, and it's not a Ancient Dragon, and it's just not really thought of as a valid strategy as opposed to just the Ancient Dragon strategy. But I still think it's a very unique card, to say the least. And now one card that we should probably discuss just because it's... And not the Savages, like, I'll just go with the Savages briefly. They kind of suck. Don't bother. That's all I really have. They don't do much, they're just there. And then there's Ravenous Dragon Gigarex. Oh, Gigarex, what do? During your turn, when another of your Tachikaze rearguards put in the drop zone, get +1. Yay! I can get a whole whopping +2, maybe 2 or 3, I don't know. Works on rearguard, so... I can't break 5 with this. There really isn't much of a point. There is really... God, this has always been a bad card. Nobody's ever liked Gigarex. And I can see some valid ways where people would run this, but... I mean, I run grade 3s on rearguard too. Like, I'm someone who actually does that. Some people don't believe running grade 3s on rearguard because... I don't know, like, people barely intercept anymore anyways, so... I don't really understand that concept, but... Even I wouldn't use that because I know it's just not a good card to have. It's just not. And then there are the grade 4s, which we really don't need to go over because it's just more Ancient Dragon doing Ancient Dragon. So overall, Tachikaze is, again, very mid-tier. And I may even say low-tier just because a lot of their concept involves power. And the problem with Vanguard nowadays is that power doesn't necessarily mean win. Too many people are gonna easily figure out a way to nerf it or figure out a way to nullify it, and they're just gonna figure out ways to avoid taking that power. Because and even if that attack hits, that power really doesn't mean much if it only deals 1 damage. I'm hitting you for 50,000, yeah, for 1 damage. So it really that's why it's like low to mid tier, which is really sad because I do actually really like Tachikaze because robot dinosaurs. Who wouldn't love that concept? It's robot dinosaurs, everybody. But it's just the fact that Ancient Dragons are the only things really being developed, and even then they're only just getting support to scrape by. Like, they're just like, hey, here's some support. Here you go. Work with that. And then that's it. So... Again, Shadow Knights plus Pirates equals Robot Dinosaurs. That is your math lesson for today, kids. So, this is Solomon Pleasant from Team O.M.G Vanguard. This is the Tachikaze clan. This is Solomon Pleasant, signing off.